Welcome to Through the Rough, a place where real-life people share the real-life experiences that have shaped us into who we are today.
Welcome back to part 3 as Matt shares part 3 of his journey through 30 years of law enforcement.
And like I said, he kept every felony booking photo he had. He would order it, and he had shoe boxes in the trunk of his car,
Yeah?
and he kept them. Every felony he ever had was in a shoe box in his car. And one time we were driving down the street, and a female was walking down the street, and he goes, "Hey, get her." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
He knew who she was just like
Yeah.
that.
And I jump out, detain her, put her on the car, and he pops the trunk, is going through these photos, pulls out this photo, and she's probably 100 pounds heavier now. And he's like, "This is you." And I look at her and I look at her, and she goes, "That's me, officer." She was wanted. I knew her.
No shit.
Wow.
And I'm like, "Yeah, that's
That's cool.
yeah." I'm like, "Man."
Juan Kenobi, teach me.
I was like,
by
did you
far.
look at that photo and like, that's not her?
Yeah, I mean, because she's like 100 pounds heavier.
Yeah. You're like,
But,
how did you
and-
tell
and-
that?
But she was wanted for the case he put her in jail for. And
That-
he knew it
No shit. That is awesome.
because he would do that. He would run
Yeah.
them too, like to see, hey, oh yeah, I put him in jail. Let me check. Oh, he's wanted. He didn't go to court. So
Now he's Dog the Bounty Hunter too.
but way better.
Yeah, it doesn't have birds living in his hair.
No,
Dicks and
no.
dream catchers and all that shit.
Yeah.
No leather pants.
No, we had polyesters.
Oh god, I
Dark-
gotta pee again.
dark
I don't
blue
know about you, but
polyester.
I have to pee. Anybody else got to go to the bathroom?
Maybe.
I'm good.
All right, back from that quick bathroom break.
And we're old.
Jeez, I feel better. It's too much coffee. Too much coffee.
And I drink 3 to 4 of these a day
Yeah.
Big old huge bottles of water.
with element in it.
Yeah.
So I'm
Mhm.
really pumping myself full of electrolytes and that. So yeah, he influenced me a lot in how I approach my police work, and that I always tried to remember who I dealt with.
Rather than them just being a cog or a number in a system, you were remembering the people specifically for multiple purposes.
For that, and plus to know, who they are
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
like what they are. And like,
When you say what they are, what do you mean by that?
are they a gangbanger? Are they a dope dealer? Are they just
Habitual piece of shit or a
yeah,
guy who's
yeah.
just having a down on his luck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just somebody who happens to live in the third ward because that's where he was born and raised and
Yeah.
this is all he knows.
Yeah.
And he's just doing what he can to make it. It's
There's the human element.
yeah, by far. And definitely at the time, you don't see it. Now that I'm older, of course, you have to realize, you have to have that empathy as an
Yeah.
officer. By far, you have to.
But that's not a lesson that you learned right away, is
No,
it?
they don't teach you that. You got to learn it on your own,
Because you
or you don't.
you're, year into your career, half a year into your career.
Yeah, and I'm hitting the ground running. I didn't go to a slow station, and there, not a lot of the training stations are slow. That's why they were training stations.
Yeah.
There are some now. They made pretty much every station a training station. But you go to Kingwood, you ain't gonna learn remotely anything near what I learned in the third ward.
Yeah.
Because Kingwood's a suburb. That's the Houston annex, but it's a suburb. It's rich.
Yeah. Just
But-
not a high crime area.
No.
Yeah.
But they have their drugs and they have their problems, but nothing what I was learning. But
Well,
back then it wasn't. Kingwood wasn't a training station. Clear Lake wasn't a training station, but Clear Lake has changed, especially after Katrina hit, and then we got all those New Orleans people from Louisiana, and then they got a rude awakening.
Rude awakening.
Well,
Wow.
laws are different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Louisiana laws are different from Texas laws, especially back then. So
It's
they
pretty significant.
yeah, so a lot of them went back.
They're like, screw this shit.
Yeah, because they're going to put us in jail for a long time. Here,
Yeah.
we'll go back to New Orleans, and so he influenced me a lot in the way I approached how I policed, and how I remembered.
Yeah.
And I think I have a good memory, anyways, on stuff like that. Like I was always good at. I'm not so good now about it. Like when I'd meet people, I remembered them. I remembered their names. I was good at that.
That's impressive because that's a hard thing to
Yeah,
remember people's names.
and not so much now.
I don't even
But-
remember
but-
meeting people.
Yeah, but I don't think. But also, my police work I was so much more vested into it. I knew how important it was to remember.
Yeah. Because you'd seen it firsthand at this point.
Oh yeah, by far.
Mhm.
And so then, then I go through my evaluations, no problems. My evening shift evaluator, it was up in the second ward, and he goes, and all my training was in the 3rd ward. So he's like, hey, don't worry really about your key mapping up here.
Don't worry about what?
Key mapping up here too
Oh,
much.
okay, yeah.
He goes, because if we get an important call, I'm going to tell you how to get there because you didn't really ride up here. You didn't train up here, so you really don't know the area.
Yeah.
I'm like, I said, well, I can do it. I can do the key map. And he goes, yeah, don't worry about it. And, and most of the time you probably just drive half the shift and I'll drive the other half. So we won't have to worry about the driving and us getting to where we need to go because I know where to go. And so I got off evaluation, and then so usually that takes about 3 months. Your field training program, give or take, if any of your trainers take off or whatever. And so you have to finish out your remaining probation period, which is usually another 3 months. You have to float with somebody, which we call you have to ride with somebody. You can't ride by yourself yet. So while you're on probation, you have to ride with somebody.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. Because you're still learning. But most of the time, who you're riding with is a guy that just had a year on.
Oh, so he's
so
technically
you're
still learning too.
newbies.
Yeah.
Newbies.
Yeah. And because the old heads are like the ones that ain't trainers. And of course, you're not going to float with a trainer.
Yeah.
Because back then we had a class every 3 months. So as soon as we're done with training, they're having another class graduate that's coming out on days. So they get a couple week break and then they're training again. And then, or if you have a couple that go to phase 5 because they failed their evaluation, then they got to be retrained for another 3 weeks, depending on who gets them. And then they got to evaluate them again for another 2 weeks.
So it's not an easy process, and there are checks and balances in place
that are in place. Yes, by far.
But
does the city follow it?
But in practicality, it's kind of the blind leading the blind.
Not the trainers. No,
not the trainers. But like you say,
when I'm finishing on my probation,
you get thrown into a car with a guy who's only been in the field for a year. He barely knows shit, but he's seen a lot. But still, he's got a lot of shit that he doesn't. And then again, it also
depends on what type of officer he is.
Yeah.
Is he a worker or is he a lazy bum? Is he a broke dick?
A broke dick?
Yeah, broke.
Okay.
Dick. That's what we call lazy people.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Dicks, what good is a broke dick?
It makes sense.
Yeah, don't do nothing. Nobody gets any help out of that thing.
That steer goes to slaughter. We have no use for him.
And so, lucky enough, the guy I ended up riding with, he had a year and a half on me. And he was a computer whiz. And his wife was an officer. And she would come home and tell all the great stories. So he quit his job and became a cop.
Yeah?
Yeah. He's like, oh, man, yeah. Kind of like me. I don't want to do this crap for the rest but he's a computer whiz.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like, whatever he did in, computer world, he was awesome at it. Yeah. And so he comes to the station and me and him hook up. And I learned a lot from him, and about running and jumping out on people and,
What do you mean?
Being proactive. Going out there, jumping out of my patrol car on people on corners.
Literally jumping out of the car and tackling somebody?
And grabbing them and throwing them on the car. Not tackling, but jumping out and say, get over here.
Apprehending.
Yeah, get over here. We need to talk. Or, if they take off, then the foot chase is on and, the car chases. And so I learned a lot from him. And even when I got off probation, before he went to a day shift tax squad, we rode. And that's, it was, I learned a lot from him. And like I said, he didn't have much more time, a year and a half on me maybe, but he was a worker. So the more you do, the more you're going to learn.
Good influence to be around.
Yeah. So I get off probation so I'm lucky enough to stay at the station because I was the only, I was the highest one, the 5 of us. And then of course my buddy that was .01 behind me got to stay at the station. We were the only 2. They only had 2 openings. So when you go back when you're off probation and then they write on a board how many opens are at each patrol station. And then number 1, where do you want to go? And so you get to pick, right? And so lucky enough, South Central only had 2 and me and my buddy were the only 2 that wanted to go there. So, well, I don't know, behind us, it didn't matter after that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, me and him went there. That's all that matters. And so I end up in the medical center. So part of 10 district also, we had the, excuse me, better?
No, you're fine.
Yeah. So I ended up in the medical center. So, and of course, Houston's known for our medical center, with MD Anderson, Texas Children's, Herman, Ben Taub, St. Luke's, Methodist, it's the biggest in the world complex, I think.
I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, no, Houston, if you have cancer, go to MD Anderson.
Really? I thought you were supposed to go to Nebraska Medical.
Yes. I mean, hey.
Mayo, all those big ones.
Yeah, no, if you get cancer, go to MD Anderson.
Yeah.
Yeah, by far. One of the sheiks.
I'm going to try really hard not to get cancer.
Well, yeah, don't get it. But if you do, try and get to MD Anderson.
Mhm.
But so, and part of the calls that I would get there, would be hospital checks. So you show up at a hospital in a private vehicle, you're beat up, whatever. Well, they still call. Or you show up with a gunshot wound or a stab
Oh,
wound.
yeah. Okay.
So the hospital calls because you still need a police
Yep.
response
Yeah.
to take the report. And they're not going to have, the hospitals have their own police. UTMB has their own police. University of Texas Medical Branch has their own police department. They're not the ones taking these reports. They call us. So that was part of where I would have to run my calls. Was nobody wanted that beat because they didn't want to do the hospital calls.
Yeah.
Because you're tied up a lot all day at these hospitals taking reports, and that's from everything. Now if it's a dead guy, it depends on what it is, but that's a homicide deal. You just do your initial report, and then homicide comes out, just like dead guy on a.
Drop it to pull it down a little bit. There you go.
Here?
Yeah.
I don't hear myself, but
No, you just it was like a half an inch too high.
okay, this better.
It was a little better.
Okay, well, but part of the calls, were especially at Texas Children's, was sexual assaults.
Oh, shit. Well, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then when you go and talk to these kids, some are too young, and so you're just getting the statement from the parent or whatever, or it could be because the parents are going through a divorce and mama's saying daddy did this.
Well, you got to figure out if it's bullshit, if it's real.
And then at first you don't know, but the more you do, then you start, hopefully, well, not hopefully, but the more you do, as you talk to these kids, you can see, they're coached. You can kind of tell they're coached.
Yeah.
But then when you talk to some of these kids and the verbiage they're using, they're like, oh yeah, this kid got molested. There's no way.
Very easy to figure. Very easy to differentiate the two.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because, how they describe.
Well, a fake reaction versus going through a true traumatic experience, you're obviously going to respond completely differently.
Yeah. And, or just how they describe the act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how it was done to them. And, so you're just like, God, man, who does this?
Yeah.
And, so I would have to take those calls and do those reports.
How old were you? 23. What is that like emotionally,
24.
psychologically?
You have to numb yourself, man. You really do.
Yeah.
Because if you let this affect you,
it could make you crazy.
And you won't be able to do your job. And
elaborate. What do you mean you won't be able to do your job?
Like,
You think
if I can't go see a dead body, how am I going to go investigate it?
Yeah, but like I'm talking about dealing with like the
emotional,
like child abuse. That's got to be really difficult, especially as a father. You see that, and
yeah, I mean, I wasn't a father then
at that time,
but it's difficult by far, but you have to learn how to compartmentalize it. You have to.
Where does it go? Where do you put it?
That's the problem. That's what ends up happening sometimes is that, what do most people do when they have this type of trauma? They go to something else, alcohol, and then they numb themselves with alcohol, or then they become alcoholics and, or some, not a lot, but some turn to dope just like everybody else, or then they become aggressive or, just because of the trauma, you have to be able to learn how to turn it off.
Do you think that there's this like a stigma like amongst police officers, not just departmentally, but like nationwide, that you have to somehow have this macho mentality?
Oh, by far. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it's the same. And I think the progress that's been made, especially I think it brought it more to light was when all the Gulf War guys were coming back.
Yeah.
And the PTSD.
The real PTSD.
That they were dealing with and the suicide rate among them.
Like, maybe you don't know that, but like, what's the suicide rate amongst officers?
I don't know.
Was that something you were ever prepped for through the academy or through your 6 months in field training?
Yeah. I mean, well, not the FTO program. I mean, they talked about it and we've had discussions about it through in-service throughout the years by far, especially when somebody on the department did it.
Do they put like real deserved focus in that mental health aspect?
They should.
But do they?
They do better now.
Could they continue to do even better?
Oh, by far. I mean,
there's always room for
But I mean, the thing is, service has always been free. That it's always part of the job.
What keeps a guy from utilizing it? Macho-ness?
Yeah, by far. I mean, yeah.
You're considered weak.
Because you need help.
Yeah.
You can't handle this on your own. It's the typical, and you see that with like women cops.
I was just going to ask, do you see the same thing
where
with female cops?
Not all of them, but there's some that seem to act overboard because they feel they have to prove
Yeah.
that they're there,
Yeah.
that
I
they
had
can do this job.
Yeah.
There was a
But
female
and
drill sergeant like that in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. God, that lady was a bitch. She was just the worst.
like some of them like go over the top with it, and you're
Yeah.
like, you don't need to.
Yeah.
Just
That's
know,
the thing. Like that lady would just, oh my God, you'd think that she was about to kill you.
yeah. I mean,
Easy.
yeah, cussing up a storm like a man.
Oh, way
you know,
worse.
like
Just
sailor.
like push, like in when you're going through boot camp AAT. Well, not so much AAT, but when you're going through boot camp, they like physically just push. And there was a female drill sergeant that was in a platoon below ours. And every once in a while, you cross paths, and if you even glanced out of line, that woman was on you like fucking white on snow,
Yeah.
and just she'd have you in the ground, just the worst possible, what you call dusting, that you could imagine for nothing. No offense, just she just felt like picking you out, and she would do that to people and just break them.
And I'm not saying that women shouldn't be police. By far, they should
Yeah.
be.
Oh, of course. There's a
They're-
whole nother aspect.
They're
of
great at
female
what they
energy.
do, and it's just be who you are.
Yeah.
Try not to be like me, because you're not me. We're different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and so and more people sometimes, the motherly image, they're more receptive to talk to, especially a
Well,
female.
Because
a
you
female
trust
through
them.
like a rape or something.
Oh, of
Yeah,
course.
you
yeah,
have
by
that.
far.
You
And
don't
so-
want to talk to some dude.
Yeah, and I remember here exactly a prime example. A guy I rode with, man, and he, I was floating with him, and we get a rape call, and we show up, and the ladies on the side of the street, they kidnapped her, raped her, kicked her out, and she's like in her underwear on the side of the
Ugh.
street, bawling. Right, and he gets out and he was like, "Hey," well, first thing he does, walks up to her, "Hey, you got your ID on you?"
What the?
Like,
And even I'm
Absolutely
like,
no empathy to
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
situation
yeah.
whatsoever.
and she kind of looks at him, and I look at him. I'm like, dude,
yeah.
come on, man.
Read the room,
Yeah.
asshole.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm a douche, but damn, dude, come
Right.
on now.
Mhm.
So it's, and of course, and he was just kind of that Jack Friday, just the facts and,
Yeah.
and it's just like, come on, man, you need to have that empathy.
You have to
By
have,
far.
that's a human being. And,
Yeah.
you need to treat
Yeah,
Who
them.
just
it's
went
going
through
through huge
Literally,
trauma.
probably
Yeah,
the
that
most
will-
traumatic experience of her life.
And is she ever going to get over it?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not, years of therapy and, and so, yeah, by far. But, sometimes women are more, of course, are going to be more receptive to talk to a woman officer on a scene
Mhm.
like that
Yeah.
Mhm.
because it's a very, personal thing that happened to them by somebody of my gender. So yeah, you definitely,
They look at you immediately as, the enemy.
I mean, you just don't know. And then of course when they go to the hospital and get the rape kits done, that's another invasive procedure.
Oh,
done
yeah.
oh
on 'em.
yeah,
We have,
I can't even begin to imagine.
at a hospital, there's an actual trained unit at our hospital that is in charge of
The rape
that.
kits?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and having that empathy classes and all that kind of stuff because
It is.
trauma.
And that's something, they talk about, but they don't really, but that's something you can't train. You got to learn it on your own because I can't, hey, Sam, you need to be empathetic towards her. You need to act like this. That's not who you
Yeah,
are.
it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, this is how you should act. Well, that's not me.
Yeah.
I got to learn it my own way because of the way I react to things. Because, like I said, we're all different. We're all wired different. Me and you could ride in the car for 29 years as partners, see the same exact thing, but you're going to respond to it different than me because we're different. We have different life experiences
Yeah.
and we're wired different.
Yeah.
I might react to this scene, no problem. You might have an issue with it. Flip. Something triggers me for whatever reason. For you, you're fine. Most of us, we become numb. I mean, that's why, people always, you see the videos of there's bad scene and you see us laughing, oh, these cops, they got no empathy. They're just on the scene laughing. Well, it's how we deal with it too.
Yeah.
And it's just, we're not joking about what happened. We might just, we just make a joke.
It's the to contextualize it. It's like a veterinarian.
coping
right? Like
mechanism.
Yeah.
I can't imagine myself sticking a needle in a dog every day and killing a dog every day for the rest of my life. But if you're like somebody at a veterinarian,
Or
where that's part of your euthanization is
Yeah.
part of your
or
job.
like a coroner.
Mhm.
Yeah, for
every
them, it's
day, man,
you're
dealing with
numb
dead
to
bodies.
it. You detach, and
Yeah.
you have to have your own way to
Deal with it.
to deal with it.
And I agree that, and because in healthcare, the same way,
Mhm.
we joke and we make jokes with each other, and it's not at the patient or about the patient, or about the situation, but it's just you have to find humor, because if you don't find humor
Yeah.
in these situations that you deal with every day, and like healthcare, police and all that, it will eat you up,
Yeah.
and you won't be able to do
It's, I
that.
mean, to a degree, it's that way with just about everything, but
Mhm.
in your guys' field, it's completely different. You see all sorts of fucked up trauma, Lindsay, and you saw all, like, even worse than the shit she sees ever seen, because you've seen shit really happen, unfold in front of you, and
Yeah.
like, so dealing with those kind of pressures and those kind of stresses, like, people can sit there and throw stones at glass houses all day and say, hey, you shouldn't laugh at that, or you shouldn't make a joke about this or that, but it's different if you've been in that situation for the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and you've been constantly bombarded with dead bodies and dead children and rape victims and murders, and you're like a fucking turtle shell Kevlar over your emotions.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that was what my first 6 years on the department was, because I was on night shift at South Central and I was a call runner. And so, that's the stuff I dealt with. And
Yeah.
when I was in 70s beat, I had the hospital checks. So I had to run those calls. And then I was able, like, they were able to open up some other, like somebody left or something. Well, I was able to move into the actual third ward, 10H50s beat. And so I didn't have to run the hospital calls anymore after that
Yeah.
stuff. So, but then
But
there,
that's out of one fire and into another.
but a more enjoyable fire.
Yeah, well, a little more chaotic.
Well, yeah, because I'm, even though I was assigned to 70s beat, I didn't really hang out there
Yeah.
because it was a hospital district. Now there were some high crime, open air dope corners there, but not like in the main third ward.
You say open dope corners, like known drug
where they're
dealing
standing on the
areas?
corner selling. You walk up, you buy your crack, and then you walk away. And-
So
by
let's
far.
talk about that for a second, because that is fucking nuts to me. So I was like, you see this shit in the movies. Like Friday is a great example where somebody is selling something on the corner, right?
Mhm.
Like you're describing. But then you go and you arrest them because you know that they're selling something right there on the corner, and
If
then you arrest them, you take them out of the loop, and then does somebody else come back to the exact
by
same
far,
corner, or
by
do
far.
they just change corners?
By far, no, it's somebody else takes a spot,
But it's
or he
same-
comes back as soon as he bonds out. He's doing it again.
Same corner?
Yeah.
Why? Where is
Because
the
that's the
detachment in realizing what the fuck
Because that's
you're
the
doing?
corner where everyone knows to go
Yeah.
get dope.
Well, that's where you go.
No one's told them, oh, we're not at this corner anymore. We're at this corner.
We are moving locations, ladies and gentlemen. Please see the banner. Our crack is 2 blocks down now.
They don't have a Facebook post.
So,
So change
like,
location.
one intersection was McGowan and Live Oak, and if you ever watched that movie, I think it was called Jason's Lyric.
I don't
with-
know.
I don't
no.
know.
Like, came out in the 90s, I think, with Jada Pinkett Smith was in it or something. And part of it was filmed right there at McGowan and Live Oak. Ralston's Liquor, store. And then you had the Blue Store, the Indigo Market, which was featured in Jason's Lyric. And then across the street, you had another convenience store, and it was like a strip center. McGowan and Live Oak was the crack corner. McGowan and Nagel, which was right next to it, the next block over,
Okay.
was a heroin corner.
Whoa. So, okay.
Yeah. So,
So
crack
don't
was-
sell crack on my heroin corner because I will stab you.
But it was, no, that's how it was known.
Yeah.
So McGowan and Nagel,
like, it just,
this
Well,
part-
they developed territories
Yeah.
from gangs, so they
A-
knew
and
this
it's
is
like,
my
this is-
area.
this
This
is
is where we
heroin.
sell.
well, and it might have been the same crew.
Yeah.
Probably was. It's just
One
you know,
selling
hero-
dope and one
this is
there.
the heroin and this was the crack. But crack was all up. Crack was everywhere.
that
It
is
didn't-
just, that's
but, I
fucking
mean,
like,
So we arrest that guy on that corner. It might be down for the day because oh man, they
and
took,
then the
then-
court's like, here you go.
well, no, it's not even the courts.
$50
Back
fine.
then, no, the courts were good back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were strict rule of law back then.
Yeah.
They hammered people back then.
When do you think that kind of shifted, that kind of changed?
You had the blue wave when Obama was elected president.
And it kind of shifted
all the
to
judges-
let them all go.
Yeah,
and-
all the judges were all Democrats. DA, district
Yeah.
attorney for Harris County, was a Democrat. Well, Lycos was before, or was that like? But yeah, so definitely, when we had that blue wave where they voted every Republican judge out, we did not have one Republican judge.
And then did
Harris County.
crime spike
A little bit,
as a result?
but
or-
yeah, because they were letting people out, and crime did go up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Measurably? Obviously, you say a little bit, but I mean, that's got to be measurably.
I think it did.
Over
I was already out of patrol by then.
Yeah.
I was in narcotics when all that happened. Yeah, so I wasn't seeing it. like the day to day, how it looked on the streets day to day. But I think it did. By far, it had to.
Yeah.
Because these guys were not being held accountable for what they were doing, so they were going back on out. And how many of these? I mean, you see it today. How many of these guys are on multiple bonds, and they're continually committing crimes, and these judges let them out with low bonds or PR bonds. And at a time, it comes to a point of like this one judge is like, well, you're innocent until you're proven guilty, right? And so I'm going to give you a bond because you're innocent until you're proven guilty.
Yeah.
But you come back in for the same damn thing, it's
Now I'm
starting to
kind of worrying if you're guilty until proven innocent at that point. It's
Yeah,
like,
because
bro, we've got you 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. How many
Shit.
times you're going to keep coming in for
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
into me on bond with a new robbery charge because you're a hijacker. Well, you're not always caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, bud.
Yeah.
You know?
Because the
you're
odds
doing the
of you
wrong thing.
being, and
Yeah.
it is like the odds of you being caught at the wrong place at the wrong time now 4 different times.
Yeah, I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, like I said, so I was able to get in the 50s beat, which is where I wanted to be. So, because that's where I hung out anyways. That's where, all the big gangbangers and,
Yeah.
the
Where the
hijackers.
action was.
Yeah. And I ran there anyways, and then when I would get my call in 70s beat, then I would haul butt down there to run my calls, and then I'd go back up in the 50s beat, and 40s beat, which was Midtown. And so, but we were 6 months off probation, and my buddy, really close to me, my classmate who was, 18 and I was 17. Well, so I'm riding with my partner at the time, and we get a call about like a suspicious person at this house or something. And so we go run this call. Well, when we get on the street, we see another unit there. And so we go up to him, we talk to him, and he's like, yeah, man, we had somebody just run from us. We chased him down and brought him, we got him. I was like, oh, that's what was called. They probably heard them chasing this guy. So we didn't go up to the house and knock on the door or anything like that. Well, so we talk with him. Yeah, like, all right, man, it's like two or three, So
In the morning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was on nights.
Yeah.
11 to 7. And so that was about the time we'd go eat around 3 in the morning. You let the drunks go eat at 2, and then, when they clear out, then we go eat. And I got a funny story. And we go eat, and so we're sitting there and eating, and my buddy was supposed to come meet us, and this call drops in his area again at that house. And he's like, hey, I'm going to run this call real quick. And he had a rookie with him. We'll run this call real quick, and then we'll meet you to eat. I'm like, okay, dude, right? Well, next thing you know, officer shot. And so, we're eating. So my partner throws his wallet at, because we're eating with his wife and her partner. So, he throws his wallet at him, and then we just take off running. And all I'm hearing is the partner, describing it. And I'm like, I'm saying my buddy's name. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Because all we hear is officer shot.
Yeah.
So we come flying out there, and he's laid up against a car, and he got shot in the shoulder. And like I said, this was the same call we ran 30 minutes early.
Yeah.
Wow.
We just didn't go to the house because we saw the other officer who just chased somebody. And
Yeah.
we're like, oh, that's what it was. And so, of course, one of the main things they tell you is you don't stand in front of the door. And so they walk up, he knocks on the door, and he steps right to the side. And as soon as that happened, she shot through the door and hit him in his right shoulder.
No shit.
If
What
he
kind of-
won't move,
It would have hit him square.
straight-
Was he
yeah.
wearing Kevlar at the time?
Yeah. I mean, we always wore our vests. It was mandatory.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean everybody did, but, we always wore them.
Why
What
would
kind of fire?
someone not?
Well, it's that, hey, man, when it's my time, it's my time
Oh, wow.
idea.
Does that mentality really exist in the police department?
It did, yeah. by
And when
far.
it's my if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die.
Yeah. Or,
I'm gonna ride this all the way to Valhalla.
yeah. Or that when they got on, it wasn't mandatory. So they just, like the old heads.
Yeah.
Never wore it.
Yeah, like the whole seatbelt thing.
Yeah.
That's why Grandpa never wears a seatbelt. Back in 1936, they didn't exist.
Or like us growing up, we hung out in the back window dash of the car, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And now, no, you better
Well,
sit back down and put that seatbelt on,
Yeah.
kid.
It's like I would never get on a motorcycle without a helmet, and you have people
Well, no,
all
that's
over
different.
ride with no helmet.
Like I don't know how the fuck people ride without a
Well,
helmet.
that's
You're
what
out
I'm
of your
saying.
mind.
It's
Yeah.
like it's that same mindset.
My brother got in a real bad motorcycle wreck a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Truck pulled in front of him and he hit the tailgate and went over. But he wears leathers and, because he rides a crotch rocket.
Mhm.
And so he had his leathers on, which helped with the road rash, and his helmet. But, I mean, he still broke both his legs and,
Jesus.
because he hit
Yeah.
Yeah.
the tailgate of the truck with his legs. And
Jeez.
that, so, safety equipment by far, you got to wear it. I mean, which we'll talk about. I would not be here without a vest.
He knocks on the door, steps to
So-
the side a little. What
and-
kind of gun does she shoot through the door?
I don't know, was it a 38 or something? You
So
know?
yeah, something like that.
And-
39.
And-
Anywhere
and
in
she,
that
she
9
was a little.
caliber.
She had some mental issues already. We called her the Marge Simpson of the
Did you
ward.
guys know? Had you had?
We knew who she
encounters?
was. I mean, she was. She would just sit outside, drink all day.
Oh,
Called-
shit.
Yeah, we called her the Marge Simpson of the ward because her wig was like it wasn't
Huge.
blue, but it was like a tall wig.
Beehive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beehive. There it was. Old black lady, and and that's what she did.
And
Every
she
day
shot
she-
him.
Yeah, and not even knowing, she just heard the knock, but she called about like suspicious person or something.
Shit. So did she get in trouble?
Yeah,
I mean, she got in trouble for shooting a cop, but she didn't know it was a cop at the time.
Yeah,
so how
but-
does that pan out?
just can't shoot through your door.
I agree.
No.
Yeah,
I
so
agree.
well,
I mean, I agree.
I mean, they gave her probation.
But like, it's not like she was intending to shoot and kill a police officer, or even to
No,
hurt
but
a
she
police.
still
officer.
I mean,
fired.
if you pull that trigger, you're intending to kill
She's
something.
still open.
Are you intending to kill somebody, or are you intending? Here's a
Well,
conversation, Mr. Cop.
I
Cop.
mean,
If she pulls that trigger through the door, not knowing what's on the other side, she's not shoot. She's, she didn't shoot it into the floor. She didn't shoot it into
Yeah.
the ceiling. She shot through the door where the knock came from.
But
Yeah.
She's shooting at that sound.
but she's shooting at that sound. But how do you establish intent?
That's not my job. I'm not the district attorney.
Oh.
So, so we get out there and, I see them and, we start talking and, HFD's out there. They surround the house. They get on the PA and talk the lady out.
Yeah.
We arrest her and stuff like that. But I wasn't even involved with that. I stayed with my buddy, and he was engaged at the time. So I call,
yeah, his fiance.
yeah, which you're really not supposed to do,
yeah.
But so
Uh,
like I call her
yeah.
and I'm like, hey, he got shot. He's fine. It's just in the shoulder. He's fine. He's talking. He's fine. And she's like, oh, she's starting to freak
Well,
out,
yeah.
of course. And lucky enough, a girlfriend of hers was there. And I said, let me talk to her.
Yeah.
And so I talked to her and I'm like, hey, he's fine. We're taking him to the Bentab. And of course, then it was like, you're going to Bentab, dude, he's dead, because Bentab was level 3 trauma.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the best, because constant flow of patients.
Yeah.
And well, they take him to Bentham and not Herman. Now everybody goes to Herman. But so, we go there and then, of course, our computers in the car, you can send messages.
Yeah.
And so a unit flies out to where they lived and picks her up and her friend. And so they're hauling down to the hospital because they lived out in the suburbs.
Mhm.
And the medical center, of course, is on the south side of Houston. And so while they're on their way, I'm sending MDT messages to the unit that's bringing them down. And so she's looking through the cage. You
And
have
she
that-
can see, what you're
so
messaging.
she's saying, and he's reading it to her. And so, I'm keeping her. And of course, she gets out there. And, he had to stay the night because the bullet, when it hit him, it went down.
Yeah.
So they didn't know. They had to pump him full of that dye to make sure he didn't like hit the artery in the arm and stuff like that. So he, of course, they capped him, and
They what?
catheterized.
Oh, catheter.
Yeah.
Those are always fun.
And so we're all in, we're all in the trauma room with him. And the nurse is like, hey, I need some privacy. And we're like, we're not leaving him. He's our buddy, and he's fine. He's cussing up a storm. And, and then she whips out that garden hose and we're like, we're out.
She's like, don't worry, I'll clear the room real fast.
Yeah. And she goes, I need you guys out. And we're like, ooh, we're
All
out
of a sudden, all these macho badasses
Yeah,
are
like,
fucking
ooh.
That's
fighting
one
back
thing
the gag reflex.
You don't want to mess with a trauma nurse.
Yes,
Like,
yeah.
she's not
And-
going to fuck around. Yeah.
And then of course the door shut, and then all we hear is like,
Yeah.
and we're like, man, that poor guy,
The bullet wound isn't shit. It's ripping a catheter out. That's like,
and put it in,
oh
Put
my
it in,
God.
yeah.
and he's like, she was gentle,
Yeah.
and then of course the doctor the next, they keep him overnight, and lucky enough, no issues
Yeah.
and stuff. But they're like, why'd they catheterize you? You didn't need that. We could have did that if I had to have surgery. I'm like, we could have did that once you were knocked out. Well, she just,
No.
she just.
She's proactive.
Yeah, she was being proactive just to be ready for it.
Oh,
And the
boy.
doctor's like,
Mhm.
we didn't have to do that. We could have waited till we knocked you out if we had to. He's a mother. And,
How was he, like, being shot, like, mentally?
I think he was fine.
Yeah.
And like with mine, I always got injured.
Let's not get into
Yeah,
yours
yeah.
just yet.
He was fine. I don't think, he had any really hang-ups from it
Yeah.
and that. So I never saw nothing.
Yeah.
But I'm better now at recognizing things than I was then.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 23, 24 years old when that happened. And so, you know, so that was the second time I saw blood on a blue use.
And that was a
And that was like,
friend of yours.
yeah, and that was a friend of mine. And then so, well, he stays IOD till he gets married, goes on his honeymoon, milked it for a little bit, and then came back to work. And of course, when he comes back to work, they make him ride with somebody, of course, and make sure he's good.
How long do they usually, like after she, like make you ride with someone?
Well, back then, well, it was all dependent on, you know, a couple days, and then
Yeah.
if you wanted to, you could still.
Did
you know.
did he have to do, well, on yourself, any like meeting with the therapist and stuff
Yeah,
before
well,
going back
yeah,
to work
so
and all that?
yeah, back then, yeah, you had to see if you get involved in a shooting, you had to talk to psych services within 3 days
Okay,
if you're not injured. And then, of course, before you could go back to work.
gotcha.
It's better now where you still have to do that, but then they see you again in 6 months, then they see you in a year.
Okay,
Because we all know you're not going to have that effect in 3 days.
no,
It's going to be 6 months. It's going to be a year.
Yeah.
It could be 2 years, and then something triggers it. And so it's important that they stay with it. And lucky enough, Houston has gotten better with that.
Yeah.
You know, where now it is, they see you at 6 months in a year. You know, you have to go check up. Now, a lot of it might just be just checking the box.
Yeah.
No, I'm fine. You know, they don't really put, because if the guy's not receptive to it, or girl, you
yeah,
know, if they're not receptive, and also they changed it to where it's a critical incident. It's not just shooting involved in itself. It's critical incidents of you coming on, like a guy I worked with, Harvey, you know, when the city of Houston flooded, the whole city flooded.
Yeah.
yeah,
And Harvey, they got tasked with the body recovery of a family that drowned in a minivan. The
Ugh,
HFD wouldn't go down there, nor would the body people go down there. So they had to go down there,
A family?
a family, kids, and they drove off into the floodwaters. And so, and, you know, so that would be a critical incident where
Mhm.
they, you know, where they should address, because my buddy, he probably still deals with it.
seeing
Because I
that,
remember,
yeah.
he lived real close to me where our house in Houston is now, and we'd meet up at the local breweries in the neighborhood, and we'd talk, and yeah, he told me about that, and you know, this was years ago when he told me about it.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to stop by throughtherough.net to check out our latest episodes, merchandise, and hit that donation tab to keep content coming. See you again next week.